Hello. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about transmutation and how every day we have to do it, but I think especially now we're in a great period where we can take advantage of it. Now, what I mean when I say transmutation, I mean transforming one energy into another. Energy, like matter, cannot be created or destroyed, it can only be transformed. So that's kind of what I mean by transmutation. You take the negative energy and you are able to transmute it into something positive. It's easier said than done, of course, but part of it is working on yourself, working on past traumas, working on letting go of the ego, different things. Everybody has to essentially transmute their life, everything that they've experienced, into something that's going to be beneficial. So I want to talk a little bit more about my personal journey because, of course, my experience is how I shape my reality. Not to say that other people's experiences aren't valid in order to experience my reality, but by experiencing their experiences, then I take them into my own, and that way I'm able to create my reality. As many of you are aware, we went through a huge period of upheaval in this past few months. This year has been a doozy, to say the least. I'm sure there are other spicy words out there that would better describe this year. I'm a person that has, like everybody else, been through my fair share of traumas and bad things that happen in my life. A lot of the times they damn near killed me, or at least I allowed them to tear away at myself, and my ego sort of let it happen. For many years I was comfortable being in discomfort. And what I mean by that is I was comfortable being miserable because that's what I understood. That's what I knew. I had different issues growing up. I was bullied a lot, which isn't to say I'm a victim or anything. It just happened. So I was bullied for being a smart kid because I was in advanced classes. And so a lot of the times the students in the non-advanced classes would make fun of us. I was in the GT program, which is gifted and talented, and these kids would just call us garbage trash. It's pretty funny, but I never understood where that came from. Why was there already a division amongst kids? On top of being picked on for being a smart kid, I was also weird. I grew up watching Mexican dubbed anime. I loved drawing superheroes and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and that was all the rage when I was younger. And I used to just draw and draw for hours and just go through pads of paper and just be watching these cartoons as a kid, and playing with my action figures, because my parents were gracious enough to not only buy me a lot of the stuff that I like, but they encouraged me later on to work for it. So I would start doing more chores for toys, essentially, or comic books or what have you. So I never quite fit in with the athletic kids. I didn't really like going outside. I thought it was boring. I thought it was uncomfortable. I would have much rather be in my own room playing with my toys, and to this day I kind of still do the same. I do kind of appreciate my solitude. I understand that in solitude I can't be judged. I believe that there's a bit of an ego resistance there where it's trying to preserve itself, but I also feel like I don't need to engage with people all of the time. So the other thing is, as I've mentioned in other videos, I am gay, and I came out when I was a freshman in high school. Little by little, it wasn't like a big, coming out party or a story of how my parents caught me with a boy or something like that. With all this in mind, on top of that, I am not ashamed to say that I have struggled with anxiety, with depression, and even suicidal thoughts for a good chunk of my life. It's manifested itself in different ways throughout my life. Sometimes it came at me harder than at other times. This year being a prime example of how difficult everything was mentally. Not to downplay anything that happened with COVID, but I think there was more emphasis on sensationalizing COVID than really analyzing the effect on not just the health system and not the health of people or the physical health of people, but their emotional health. I've heard, at least for men, their sense of worth, their sense of purpose is tied to they're able to make a living. Not so much, oh, they have to have a job in order to feel like they're contributing. I think that's just a manifestation. And there are a lot of people who they feed their ego with that, so they are their jobs. The job isn't part of them. That's their identity. Their identity is their job. I'm not referring to that. Personally, this year has been tumultuous in my career. January with one job, which I really cared about and I appreciated. Unfortunately, it wasn't covering my bills. This isn't a knock on capitalism. This isn't to defend capitalism. This is just to say, however I needed to keep myself alive and afloat wasn't working, and I needed to step outside of my comfort zone. So I got a second job. It was in an industry that I didn't really want to go back into because I swore I would never do that. And I have stopped swearing absolutes because I've changed my mind so many times in my life, through different processes and different events that unfolded. So I got a second job, and at the beginning of the year, I was feeling good about myself. I had lost my car the second day of training, and I somehow managed to figure out a way to make it to work. I fortunately don't live that far from where I work, and I would walk a lot of the times, and people didn't really understand that. One of the other things you need to know about me is I was overweight for about 20 years of my life. I would say that a lot of it, maybe it wasn't my depression, it was just that I didn't care. I didn't care to take care of myself. And now I am. I didn't really have issues with walking to work or walking to the grocery store without any groceries and then walking home with groceries. I mean, a lot of the times I was tired. I didn't feel burdened by it. I was able to take advantage of the situation. And there's people who feel like they have to go to a gym to work out. No, life is a workout. You just have to be active. You just have to have an active lifestyle. At least in that regard, I didn't let the pandemic slow me down. I was working out more because I had more time on my hands. I was just taking any advantage to get outside and go walking. I didn't have to wear my mask when I was outside because I wasn't around people. I was walking and nobody was bothering me, and it was absolutely beautiful. I was able to not just work on my body, but I was also able to work on my mind. I started surrounding myself with certain individuals that not so much that agreed with me, but that I could definitely debate with, because I wasn't getting that from certain people in my life that I sort of had to start ignoring, because I knew that whenever we would talk about stuff, it didn't come from a place of wanting to understand my point of view. It was more to convert me. And I've had enough of that in my life, so no thanks. So I started expanding my horizons as far as where I got my information, and I started applying as much critical thinking as I possibly could. Understanding that I also have my own subjectivity, my own biases, but for me, I would definitely try to take a step back and look at the bigger picture as opposed to just certain component. I also started working on my spirituality more, which was probably the toughest thing, because I do believe that there's scientific evidence of this, that spirituality helps with mental health. And it also even helps with physical health. I'm not saying, oh, going to church every Sunday or, oh, reading whatever holy scripture you can think of. I'm talking about practicing your spiritual beliefs wholeheartedly. I do believe that they benefit your mental health as well as your physical health. With everything that was going on, me getting into fights with people, not over politics. Politics was just the face that this human behavior decided to take. It was really how I was getting shut down, and I didn't feel like I had a place amongst a lot of people that were closest to me. So I fell into despair, and I fell into despair in a way that I had not felt since I was in my late teens. When I was at my darkest, felt the same sort of energy. Fortunately, what that ended up doing is I walked to the gates of Hades, and I debated whether I should knock several times. And after I shed a lot of the ego, and what I felt was these attachments to people, or like I owed them something, I felt lighter. All of this baggage I was carrying just poof, made me feel so lighter. And I was able to transmute about 3 months, possibly even longer, of concentrated negativity and crap and do something with it. I don't know if this is going to go anywhere or not. That's not the point. The point is I'm trying to do something positive with my life. I'm trying to find my purpose, my reason for being. And I think one of those is trying to get people to work on themselves, to listen to their intuition, because I think intuition is probably the best guide you're going to have. But since we still live in this realm where we have these human emotions, then we also need to learn to apply critical thinking with our rationality and keep our emotions checked as much as possible. So that's my personal experience with being able to transmute, not just this year, but everything before. I am almost 37. I am happy to say that I lasted twice as long as I thought I was ever going to last, because I didn't have a vision of what I would be in the future. And the versions I did have that I worked towards didn't really make me happy. So now I've transmuted all of the negativity of people trying to enforce their free wills on me, and I've been able to be more confident in my identity of the sum of all of the parts that make up who I am, to say, you know what? I don't care what your opinion is, because I'm doing my own thing, and it shouldn't affect you if it's not affecting you directly. And when life just starts throwing heaps and heaps of crap in your life, just use that as fertilizer and just make things grow.